So it's not your fault that you cannot resist that extra dessert or sometimes wolf down a box of donuts. It comes down to your body's inability to turn off its hunger. But why wasn't this something that happened in our grandparents' era? Obesity was almost unheard of until the 60s. And if it was a hormonal problem, what was behind it? I couldn't find an answer to either question, but I knew I was onto something. If the constant hunger was simply a symptom of hormone issues, what was causing it? I spent months researching online, visiting libraries, and consulting with medical experts, but uncovered nothing new. Just the same old advice of eat less and exercise more. Advice which was no help to people like Amy or the countless others who were struggling. I felt like I'd hit a brick wall, and after hundreds of hours of research, I was no further forward. I didn't know where to turn. Sadly, I was close to giving up. Every night I prayed hard to God for help. Then one miraculous day, I'm sure He heard my prayers. It was early last year, March the 15th to be exact. I remember it like it was yesterday, because it was one of those rare times Amy had agreed to go out in public. We traveled upstate to her sister's wedding, and it was there that I met a man who totally changed our lives forever. I'm going to call him Chen. I can't tell you his real name for reasons that will become clear in a minute. Amy's sister was marrying a Chinese-American guy, and Chen was a cousin of his who had come over from Beijing for the wedding. He was sitting next to me at the table. A super nice guy, and his English was perfect. We hit it off immediately and ended up talking for ages. He told me about life in China, his love of baseball, my favorite sport, and what he did for work. He is a leading research scientist for the Chinese government's health department. And the more we talked and drank, the more we both opened up. Before I knew it, most of the other guests had left. Amy was so tired she could barely stay awake, so she made her excuses and left. She gets tired easily, I told Chen, and I talked about her health and what the doctors had said. She's tried everything to keep the weight off, but nothing seems to work. My eyes filled with tears, and then I broke down. I'm so scared I'm going to lose her. I'm not sure if I could go on. Chen's face went totally serious. He seemed hesitant at first, but he could see I was in so much pain and that I'd pretty much given up all hope. He took a deep breath and told me something that chilled me to the bone. A shocking secret that he'd been forced to keep quiet about for years. You see, China has always been a nation of thin and healthy people. We took pride in this fact, he told me. And the government had enlisted our department to find the cause of the obesity epidemic that had suddenly exploded over the past decade. Something had drastically changed. People were getting more and more overweight, and even obesity rates in children had spiraled out of control. We spent years poring through thousands and thousands of published scientific studies from throughout the world trying to find some kind of link. And what we eventually discovered was truly shocking. It wasn't actually diet or lack of exercise that was causing the problem. You see, there was one thing that didn't add up with all of the conclusions and recommendations that the doctors were making, he told me. A person doing the same level of exercise and eating exactly the same number of calories in 2006 as in 1988 would have a BMI almost 2.5 points higher. This equals a whole extra 10% of body mass. They also don't explain those annoyingly thin people that can eat whatever they want, do no exercise, and never gain an ounce. Yet most of us just have to look at a burger and put on 10 pounds. How does that figure in the calories in, calories out model? He then revealed what he called the 3 biggest lies of the weight loss industry. You know those massive corporations? The ones who sell you healthy shakes, meals, and exercise plans? They know full well that they don't work. All of the countless medical studies make this abundantly clear to anyone who has bothered to look. And I assure you they have looked. You see, the whole industry is a giant fraud. Its only purpose is to separate you from your hard-earned money. They don't care that it doesn't work. In fact, they don't want it to work, because that way they can keep selling you their stuff. Their business model will be destroyed if the world finds out they can break free and lose weight naturally without their useless diets and exercises. It's big business, and a business they will fight to protect. One big lie that costs us over $250 billion each year. Sure, you may lose a few pounds in the first weeks or months with their plans, but research shows that 95% regain that lost weight within 1 year, and most put on even more on top. Which brings us to the big weight loss lie number 1. That dieting helps you lose weight. It doesn't. A huge study involving over 4,500 subjects found that among both men and women, irregular eating and continuous attempts to lose weight. Click below to claim your package now.